Om Sai Ram. My humble pranams to Swami and to all the people who are listening to me. Uh, oh, I'm so happy the light has come back. I'm really sorry the power had gone off and I was sitting with the torch and talking to you people. And now suddenly the power has come back. Swamiji, thank you very, very much. I would like to thank the team, Jay Shankar Sundaram, Sai Mohan, Jaideep More, Akshay Kamath and Siddharth Bhatt, and the person who introduced me. I'm really very, very grateful to you all to give me this opportunity to talk from Prashanti Nilayam during this occasion. It has been 61 glorious years with Swami, and today when the power went off for the last half an hour, as usual in Prashanti Nilayam, I was talking in the beginning with a torchlight of the phone. It reminded me of the olden days when I came to Prashanti Nilayam in 1959, going from Bukkapatnam to Prashanti Nilayam in the bullock cart with the lantern giving us light. Today, it made me feel as that. And I'm really, really grateful to Swami. As soon as I said Sairam to all, and I gave my pranams to Swami, the power came up. The power was not there from 6:15. For 45 minutes, we were sitting without power. Now, I'll come back to the session. My life has 4 pillars. It stands on 4 pillars. It is faith, surrender, patience, and positivity. You will find this completely in the stories which I'm about to tell you all. My life has been intertwined so much with Bhagwan's grace that I am really fortunate coming to him at an early age of 4 years. I was born a normal child, but I developed polio paralysis at the age of 4. It was just by Swami's grace I had met him in Mumbai at my uncle's place at Malabar Hill. Swami was very, very kind to me, and I was attracted to him like a magnet. My father arranged for an operation by the Switzerland doctors, but I refused to have the operation without first seeing Swami. When we came to Swami, Swami said, no, you will not have the operation because one by one, the limbs of your body will be cut. So it's better that you stay here. After the doctors left the soil of India, Swami decided to send us back. In those days, Prashanti Nilayam, on the right-hand side was the Swami's dining room. I used to go up the dining room every day, and over there, Swami used to feed me and apply vibhuti on my leg and tell me, Rani, you walk. He used to call me Pakoda. He said, you walk, you'll fall, but every fall of yours, blood will come out. Don't worry, Puttaparthi will be soaking with your blood, but you will start walking soon. I fell, I walked, I fell, I walked. And this went on for a very long time. And today, all of y'all can see me. I am walking. I have moved around the world, and I'm really, really grateful to Swami. Now, I've always taken Swami as my friend because it was a very tender age coming in contact with Swami. Swami always took me, when one Swami asked me, Rani, do you have any friends? I said, no, Swami. He said, okay, from today, I am your friend. I am your best friend. And believe it or not, till date, he has been my best friend, always holding me and guiding me and loving me. My parents used to say, Rani, he is God. But I was too innocent and a child to understand that he was God. My argument to them was, no, daddy, he is my friend because Swami said he was my friend. And he wanted me every month to send him a letter telling him everything about the school and everything. And I used to be doing that. Swami's love to me was really immense. And this child who could not walk, who was paralyzed, I completely forgot that I was paralyzed because it was so much of Swami's love that I started moving around. It is very difficult to believe that it could have happened like this. And I will tell you all about an incident which happened very, very recently. I came to I shifted to Parthi on 31st March, and on 4th April, I had a fall. The fall was very bad. I had injured both my tissues, knee tissues. After that, I immediately had a second fall in the month of May, and I fractured my ankle, which was already damaged about 40 years back. The doctors told me, seeing your case of polio paralysis, it will be difficult for you to walk again. But again, it was the determination. I decided, no, it can't be. I can't be lying in bed forever or the wheelchair. I fought it out, and I would like to say today, I am able to walk. Of course, when I go for darshan, I walk with the support of a stick, as I was advised by Dr. Sundareshan that in the crowd, no one knows I have this problem, and everyone rushing to the samadhi may drop me. So I started walking with the stick at the darshan, but otherwise, I have moved away the wheelchair, I have moved away the walker. What happened to me about when I was 4 years, today I have 65 plus, I got it back again by falling. But I'm so glad Swami has been there to help me to overcome this problem. Now, talking as Swami as my friend, I will give you a few of the instances why I said Swami is my friend. Being small, Swami said that brother and she should come for every long week, like Friday, Saturday, Monday. So we used to fly to Bangalore, and those days it was 9 years when Puttaparthi was being renovated. So we used to come to Bangalore. I've spent most of my holidays with Swami. I've not spent time in Bombay. And it was like, he was always my friend. If you think of the work he asked me to, he used to let me sit outside his room on the staircase and drive away the monkeys. I was very happy doing the job. So kind to me. There is a very humorous incident which I would like to narrate. I am, as everyone knows, quite plump. And Swami said, Pakoda, I think you should for me and give me puri bhaji, then dosas, idlis, and this way I had multiple breakfasts from the hands of Ishwarama and from his sisters. Once Swami came back from darshan from the back door, and he caught me eating all this stuff. So Swami said, Pakoda, how will you reduce? I said, I haven't touched any of this breakfast. It's all being fed to me. See, my hands are clean. I can't say no to Amma. I can't say no to your sisters. So then Swami gave up the idea of asking me to reduce my weight. And that's how till date I am plump. Of course, this plumpness has been an asset to me because I was able to travel around the world. This today's situation of the lockdown reminds me of a situation in 2000 when the world was coming to an end. It was that year Swami decided that I should go on a 90 days trip abroad. And he did my itinerary nearly 7 to 8 times. He went on changing the itinerary. One fine day, he gave me the itinerary and he told me, you come to Purnachand Auditorium, I will give you blessings from the balcony. And he sent 3 packets of vibhuti. I was to travel all alone to the world. And it was the first time that I am traveling. I was really scared. I said, Swami, I can't go alone. He says, no, no, don't worry. I'm there with you. My father realized, because he is a good reader, he realized that those were the days when Nostradamus had said that the world is going to come to an end in Europe, in London, in New York. So what had happened actually, those were the perfect days Swami had marked for me to be there. So my father said, Swami, why my daughter? Swami said, no, don't worry, I'm there with her. I was not knowing any of these things, but yes, Swami was there with me. On my first stop at Paris, he came to my rescue for 2 hours, carrying my luggage and put me in the train to Geneva. I will not deny the fact that Swami has been very, very kind to me. I traveled all around. And if you all remember those days, we had the Gayatri Japa going on and Yagna and all. It reminds me today that we all have to do global prayers for the safety and health of the people all over the world. Today, after so many years, it has struck back to me. 20 years have passed and the same thing has happened. And I'm so happy that the alumni are doing such a good job getting us all together, and we are spending our time in sadhana, because that is what Swami wanted. What was the reason why he sent me? It was to be there present on those days when this thing was to happen. And I would like to say that prayers is the only solution to all our problems. And I'm really happy to do this today and be a part of this meeting. The other thing which I wanted to say was, we have a lot of problems in our life. I know many people are going through problems about their life, that what is going to happen after the lockdown. Well, don't worry. Have faith, have confidence, surrender. Just pray to Swami. Look at me. I was a lady who lost 3 crores of rupees, but here I am, hale and hearty, happy. Money comes and grows. Morality comes and morality comes and grows. So please don't get worried, and just have confidence that Swami will see us through this phase. This phase is not going to remain, it's going to pass. The people doing the bhajans all over the world is so nice. Having satsang all over the world is so good. This is the only thing which is going to save, and we have to pray for our brothers and sisters who are in trouble. And always remember me, it was his will that this happened. It is his will that he will see us through, and we will all be back to normalcy. There was this time when I decided, though I was having this problem of my polio paralysis and all that, Swami gave me permission to go to Mount Kailash. It was a very, very nice visit, but Swami had put a condition that I should not do the parikrama of Mount Kailash. I went there and it was very, very good. But on my return, there was a landslide. I decided to stay back, but Swami decided it otherwise. I had taken a Sherpa and I had taken the help of one of my friends. But I was feeling bad seeing the stones roll down, that if I fall, this gentleman also falls and he has a family. So I prayed to Swami. I said, Swami, why this sin on me? And all of a sudden, a Sherpa comes to my rescue, and he immediately took my hand and said, hold my hand and just follow my footsteps. Put your foot in my footprints. And lo, I put my footprints in Swami's footprints, and I walked across Mount Kailash to the other side. Swami kept me in the bus and asked the lady to give me hot tea, ginger tea. I drank that and I went to give the lady the money. She said, no, it has already been paid. Don't worry. Swami the gentle Sherpa has paid it. I said, where is the Sherpa? I need to pay the money to the Sherpa. The Sherpa had just disappeared. When I came down to Nepal, I rang up my father and told him how I was saved. My father, I said, please thank Swami, because as usual, my tube light always works late. It was always choke. So please thank him for saving me. When Daddy went to Brindavan, Swami told, yes, Java, I know about it. Rani knows only to say Sairam, Sairam, Sairam. And that's why I had to go to rescue her. I had told her not to go, but still she was determined to go. So I anyhow had saved her. I did my duty. So this is how Swami does. He saves every one of us. Because why? I'll tell you. Swami at a very young age taught me how to do Namasmaran. I lost 2 japamalas. Swami got tired. He said, I'm blessing your japamalas and you're losing it. So I said, Swami, what to do? I don't know. I'm always losing my japa mala. He said, okay, I will teach you how to do the mala on your fingers. And he taught me how to do the japa on my fingers with 9 and 12, counting 9 and 12 and complete a mala. And I'll tell you, Swami is a real taskmaster. He used to ask next days, how many malas did you do? How many malas did you do? Ultimately, it so happened that now, at that time, I did not have to do any mala. Automatically, Om Sai Ram was going down in my subconscious mind. The same way he taught meditation, and you won't believe the meditation he taught me helped me in deep, deep concentration. Now, why I brought this topic is because many people ask, how is it that you have the inner voice? How do you hear and not us? It is at that age with this I developed the inner view. And I always have Swami seated in my heart. I pray to him, I tell him this is it. And Swami comes to my rescue. I wish all of y'all please develop this habit of japam and meditation. Now we have all the time on earth. I know people are working from home, but still we have time with us, and develop this habit so that Swami is seated in each and every heart. He is there at every call. He can come to each and every devotee and help them out in whatever crisis they are. Crises come and go. Like there is, our life is like a roller coaster. Sometimes we are up, sometimes we are down. Again we go up, again we come down. So this is how life cycle goes on. So please, this time I just beg all my brothers and sisters all over the globe, please don't get worried. Take no tensions regarding this global problem we are all going through. We all will support each other. We stand together with each other, with Swami holding the main hands, and we all stand in a chain to drive away the virus so that no one is affected. And we pray for everyone so that there is peace, happiness, and global health for all our of all of our beings. Now, regarding the power of prayer, people ask, what is there in prayer? There is a lot of power. I will just cite to you a small example. It so happened that my father was uh, having myasthenia gravis in 1990 and saw me, and the doctors told me that Mr. Java has just 1 month more to live. I was really shocked, and I took my father to Puttaparthi with my mother. And I told my brother, please bring the wheelchair to the aircraft. We'll stay one day in Whitefield and then we will proceed to Bangalore. So it was done that way. We came to Parthi and I told Swami that this is a condition. I sent all the reports and I said, Swami, his nerves have all collapsed and his neck is falling. And doctors have said that he has only 1 year to live. Now we decided that if he has to go, let him go at your divine lotus feet. So mummy, myself have come with daddy. Swami used to send the doctors every day to check up daddy. And he used to send us once a month to Bangalore, to St. John's Hospital to get him checked again so that we can see what the report says. In the meanwhile, I used to do my prayers. I did all the pujas possible for the longevity of my father. And Swami's blessings and prayers helped my father. In 1990, he survived for 13 years. He went in 2003. So it is the power of prayer. Just pray, and there is Swami hears the prayers, and all your prayers will go fulfilled. No one's prayer goes unheard. Everyone's prayers are heard. Even an atheist who says God is not there, he says no. So, but that means there is something which is telling him about God. So please, all of us should always believe that there is a God, there is a being who's taking care of us. And we are so, so fortunate to be living with the God in this avatar. This avatar has been very, very lucky for us. We have been the lucky devotees to be with Swami. And I think we should all Share this luck with everyone. Swami always says, to whomever I give, the same I expect him to share. So that's why I go around the world sharing my experiences with people so that everyone can feel the joy of Swami within them. They can feel him. Hearing him is something different. I want you all to feel him. And he's there in each of us. He's sitting inside us. You won't believe, I believe that every person who saw me is there. Sometimes I do get hurt when people hurt me, but that's momentarily. I think, no problem, it is Swami's will, and I get over it. And I want each of you to take today that you will develop this power of you. The power is within all of us. Who am I? I was a very ordinary person, but I developed this relationship with Swami. You all can develop this relationship with Swami. Swami is not a book which all have to read. Swami is real. He's real. You are supposed to feel him. Feel him in every breath of yours. And Swami is there. People tell me that, yes, you are lucky, you have an experience with Swami. I am lucky, no doubt about it. But it has been 61 years. So 61 years, and as a child of 4, there would be many experiences. And we have been very close to Swami because Daddy was a part of the organization. And he was in a direct link with Swami. And we could, whatever our problems or whatever it is, Swami and Daddy could tell it to Swami. Now, before, when I was young only, I developed the habit that, Swami, I like to talk to you. So I would like to have the interview. He says, yes, you develop it. And he helped me in developing it. So after Daddy left, the void was not there, as I had Swami seated in my heart and I could talk to him. Then there were many other instances where I would like to share with you all was, the smallest, minutest thing. People say, how is that Swami is your friend? He took care of my education. Whatever he said, I did. Right from the 7th standard, right up to college, the degrees I obtained, everything was under his guidance. I never had anyone guiding me. He told me, do this, I did that. He told me, do this, I did that. When I accumulated so many degrees, I asked Swami, can I do my doctorate? He said, no, I don't like the name Dr. Rani Java. I prefer you as Rani Java. Now, how did my name become Rani Java? This is a very, very nice story. It was in the days of the summer course. I had stood first in the first summer course. So Swami asked me if he could give the prize to another girl who was from Mumbai. I said, Swami, I have no problem. You can give it to her because I'm always there with you. When Swami came to our house, he asked Daddy, he says, get me the photo which Pakoda had. I want to sign her photo. I want to give her a personal gift. So he asked Daddy, what's her name? Because I always call her Pakoda. So Daddy said, Swami, her name is Rani Lakshman Java. So Swami said, no, not Rani Lakshman, no Lakshman. So he said, he wrote behind, in the front he wrote with love and blessings, and behind he wrote, to Miss Rani Java. I was really surprised. And today, of course, when I think back, it is all his planning, because you see, I am still Miss Rani Java. And after my dad left, because he did not like me to remove his name, I changed everything to Rani Java except my passport and my PAN card, because there would be a lot of hassle since I have a lot of visas of different countries, especially the USA and all those. So I didn't want to lose my visas, which I'm carrying on from 1984. So I decided that no, I'll keep it as Rani Lakshman Java in my passport and my PAN card. But everything else, it is Rani Java. Now I realize why it was Rani Java. So long as it was Rani Lakshman Java, it was a world of money. But today, when it is only Rani Java, it is a world of spirituality. I never thought I would be one day giving these talks. I never ever thought about it, because I was helping my father in his industry. I was working always with him, and it was right till he was uh, alive. And then I had my own business, so it was always, I was an industrialist. I never thought that I would be a spiritual person, but that's how Swami planned it. He plans each and everything. There's nothing, we don't have the patience, we don't see, we cannot foresee, but God can foresee. He knows. Please, when he says something, don't get upset. Don't get upset with his plans. His plans, he knows. He knows when the plan is going to come in use. We think we can only see the close by, the close future. We can't see the future. We can only see what is there in the next month. We cannot see the future. It is only the divine who can see the future and who can guide us. Swami is so much. He's like a mischievous child when he's with a child. He is very serious when he's with serious people. There are different views of Swami. And I'm so fortunate to have seen the mischievous side of Swami, because both of us were playmates. It was only in 1972 when I attended the summer course that I realized that Swami was God. Till then, he was my friend, my best friend. Whatever I wanted, I asked him. In 1972, after attending the summer course, reading all the books, the spiritual books, gaining the spiritual knowledge, I realized that Swami is God. And from that time onwards, I have accepted that. But still, I take him as my friend, because I think we are more close as a friend than anything else. Because having no friends as such, but having him is much better. He has held my hand. The day my servant threw me on the Chitravati sand at Swami's feet, when I was unable to walk or do anything, he has held my hand from that time and taken me every step in my life. Every step in my life he has taken. You will be surprised that now I feel that maybe after this, after having this compulsory rest in the house, I will surely be able to walk even without the stick. This is my thoughts, because I have the determination. I am very, very positive. I don't allow any negative thoughts to come in me. Whatever be the, uh, like today when the power went off, I told Jay Shankar, don't worry, this reminds me of the olden days. I will talk with power. I will keep the second phone of mine, the torch on, and I will talk. And he said, okay, but you'll be uncomfortable. I said, no problem. This is Swami's testing. And as soon as it was 7 and we did the Omkar, it's such a surprise, the power came back. So this is Swami's way. He tries you to the 99.9%. He is not going to spare you. He is going to try you. So never, never, ever give up, because you have him. We are so lucky to have Swami as our companion, that we should not leave him. We have heard of all the avatars, but to be living with an avatar, we are very, very fortunate. I would like to also say some things about when we came to Prashanti Nilayam. In those days, there was no, what to say, power or anything. We used to be staying in the mandiram. We used to be sleeping under the tree. And today, it's so nice for me to think that I am staying in my own room in Prashanti Nilayam. When Swami gave this room, he told Daddy, Java, none of your children are going to come, only Rani. I'm going to give this room to her, because from her room, she does not have to come out in her old age. Standing at her door, she can have the darshan of Kulwant Rai Hall. And believe it or not, this lockdown, I have not crossed the threshold at all. I stand inside my room door and I do my namaskaram to the Kulwant Rai Hall, to Swami's house, and to Swami. I never thought that it would come back to me after so many years. It was in 1990 that we got this room. Of course, whenever I'm not well, he had asked me to put a chair and sit out. But this time I decided, no, stay home, stay safe. And I've been following it to the last word. People have been going for darshan, for bhajans out, but they're not allowed inside. They are just sitting out because they want fresh air. I have not walked all these days. I'm only in this room, but I'm very, very confident that after everything is all right, I can walk and I will be able to walk. Another example which I wanted to tell you all was a friend of mine who last year wanted to meet me. She was from London, and I was very busy because I was giving tuitions those days. And I always liked 10% from my students. So I told them I cannot meet anyone now because from February I don't socialize. But I was told this friend is very, very eager to meet me and I need just 2 hours to come. I said, okay, during my lunch break, I'll try to meet y'all at a restaurant, but it should be close to my house. Can you imagine how Swami planned it? 1 year ago, March third week, I met this lady from London. Her name is Sandhya Dolakia. I met her, we became friends, and let me tell you, it was such a shocking experience. She was stranded over here in Puttaparthi, and she had her flight was cancelled. This 1 month we were together, and I told her, Sandhya, see how Swami plans. I did not know you last year, but Swami knew that we had to spend time in satsang in Prashanti Nilayam, and that's how we meet. I'm giving you the very, very easy example so that no one is having a problem to understand. Because today everyone has some small thing in life, some big thing in life. The big thing in life was all what we all go through with all the problems and all. But these small, small things all add up to make a big thing. So this is how I would like to say, this is how Swami takes care. He knows the future, he knows the planning. Why this has happened, what's the consequences, where are we going to go, he knows. So let us spend this time in good satsang and let us be happy together and do global prayers for everyone. In Prashanti Nilayam, we have 1.5 hours morning Vedas and bhajans, evening we have Vedas and bhajans. Then after that, we have the global prayers on 2 days of the week, on Thursdays and Thursdays and Sundays. So this is how we spend our time, and then in satsang. So I would just like to say, everyone is doing bhajans on Zoom. It's very nice. It's so nice to see people doing that. Then these all these talks which we are having, all this will help us to keep ourselves occupied and just think and think about Swami. Let's spend our time thinking about Swami and relish the time which we had. I want to tell every one of you are Rani Java. Every one of you have got some experience. Swami has given experience to each and every one. Please, please sit and enjoy that. Just you recollect and think about it. I would like to tell you while I have made an analysis of my life. My life is divided into 4 stages. It was right from childhood, that from 1960 to 1971 was a part of devotion where I spent time with Swami, playing and enjoying life, learning namasmaran, learning meditation, and doing all the things which a child does. The next part came 1971, 72 to 1980, the path of knowledge, where I gained knowledge after attending the summer course. Then 1981 to 1990, I did service to mankind. I was a Sevadal, and I was a very active Sevadal. It was in 1991 that Swami told me, Pakoda, you have done a lot of seva for me. Give up your seva and now take care of your parents. Swami had promised me moksha when I was 17 years old. So it was my duty to take care of my parents, my karmic parents, so that it would help me to lead to moksha. I am very, very thankful to Swami for giving me this opportunity, because it is not that everyone is able to serve their parents. I have been very fortunate to serve both my father and mother, because they both played a very, very important role in my life. My father was the one who was giving me direct answers from Swami. My mother was the one who always took me to Swami right from childhood, and she told me, "You must continue this habit." And I can, it was really, if it was not for my parents, I feel that yes, it is a right saying, they say that God decides in which family you are to be born. I was fortunate to be born to my parents, and I am so happy and grateful to them. I'm grateful to my granny, I'm grateful to everyone, to my siblings, every one of them, because they were all a part of my life and they helped me on my part to liberation. This is what I would like to say. Then my question now is, why is the samadhi very important? The samadhi is very, very important because I would like to say that all the power and energy is centralized in the samadhi. In the beginning, Swami used to walk around and all the minute molecules were spread around and we used to all get a pinch of it. But when we go to the Samadhi, all the power is centralized. You put your head on the Samadhi and you, with faith and surrender, and you see Swami will surely answer your prayer. Samadhi is important, just like the Samadhi in Shirdi, just as the Golden Temple. These are all become now very important for us. Yes, now during this time you can't come to Parthi. Please be home. But once everything is free, you all are all always welcome to Swami's abode and get your batteries recharged. I would say it's better to come, if you're staying abroad, to come once a year and get your battery recharged. If you're staying in India, I think as you can come, do drop in, get your batteries charged, because remember, we are all like cars. We have to go to the garage to get ourselves serviced. And the only surveyor of servicing is at the Samadhi, because Swami is the engineer who is going to service all of us. The battery has to get recharged, because we all get entangled in the worldly matters. So when we are fully entangled, we forget. We are so much running. I'm so glad that I have this problem. I'm handicapped, so I don't have to run. I have to just walk. But of course, I pray everyone always runs. But now let's run after God. In this period of the lockdown, please run after God, because it is easier to run after God than run after money. Money is not easy. It'll come. It'll surely come. We'll all be back to normalcy. But please take care of yourselves and stay home, be safe, and follow Swami's principles in whatever he has taught us. I think I still have time. I'm sorry, I did not know how much time is there.
You do have time, auntie.
I have time?
Yes, 15-20 minutes and you can go on, please.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I would like to share some few things with y'all. This was a very nice experience which I had with Swami. Was whenever we used to travel with Swami, he used to really take care of all of us. We used to go in the cars with Swami, and on the way, he used to stop the car and give us breakfast. He saw to each of us, he saw to our food, he saw to everything. He used to give us hot breakfast. Swami looks after every need of his devotee. I'll tell you that I've never found myself go hungry, because he's always there. Some way or the other, the door knocks and something happens. Even if you're down in the dumps, be sure he's there to help you. His helping hand is ever there, ever there. So when I'll give you one example. When I was stuck at the Paris station, when I went on this 90 days trip, Swami came to my rescue. The train went in front of me and I did not know what to do. Swami came in the form of a short, curly head with a yellow coat, yellow check coat, and a yellow hat. And he said, "You look lost." I said, "Yes, I am lost. My train has just left and I don't know what to do because this was my first trip abroad and all alone." So he says, "Okay, do you have your host number?" I said, "Yes, I have my host number." And mind you, I did not know the host. He was Swami's guest. Swami, I was his guest by Swami. I didn't know him. So he went, he called him. He first went and got a trolley and he put my trolley, he put my coat and my laptop. And he said, "Let's go and make a call." We made a call. My host said that I can do nothing about it. You'll have to stay at Paris. I said, "No, how will I stay alone at Paris? It's not possible." He says, "I can do nothing about it." I said, "Okay." So I started praying. And then he said, "Okay, let's change some of your money," because I was carrying US dollars. He took me and got the French francs. Then we went and he was there 2 hours with me. And mind you, he was walking and I was walking slowly. And it was completely a stranger, but I was not bothered. I had so much of faith and I was only saying Om Sai Ram, Om Sai Ram. He had my laptop, my bag, everything, but I was least bothered. I was walking slowly. Then he saw a train going to Geneva. So he said that there's a train going close by. Let's talk to your host again. So he spoke to my host again and said that there's a train going to Geneva. So I plan to put her in that train. Can you pick her up from Geneva? So he said, "Yes, I will pick her up from Geneva, no problem." So then we went to the train and he told the station master, "See, she had a ticket for the previous train and that she missed the train. If you don't mind, can she sit in this train and get down at Geneva?" He said, "Okay, she can sit in this train." So Swami put me on the seat which was behind. And then I told, "Sir, excuse me, can I give you this money? You have spent so much of money on my trolley and all the phone calls and all." He said, "No, no, you keep it." I said, "No, my guru has told me this is my last birth and I don't want to keep anything pending for the future because how will I repay this debt?" So he started laughing. He took the money and he went. Swami realized that I had not yet recognized him. So then he came back and he told me, "You have not eaten from Delhi, the last place where you ate. So you do one thing, you go to the pantry is just behind your seat. Take this vegetarian salad and take the bun and take a Coke. Don't take anything else because it's non-vegetarian." So then I realized that how did he know that I ate last in Delhi? Because I flew Bangalore, Bombay, Delhi, Delhi to Paris. So I was really shocked. And then the tube light choke got realized that it was Swami. So when I reached Geneva, I told my host the whole incident. So they said, "Rani, for 2 hours, no foreigner is going to be there with you. Swami was there with you. You are very, very lucky." I said, "Yes, I realized it very late." So then immediately I called up my father and I told him that I reached my host safely. And mind you, my bags were left behind in the conveyor because it was a huge bag. And Swami knew that it would have been difficult for me to walk with my bag to the train as I had to change 2 local trains to reach the main station. So he kept my bag at the conveyor belt down. When I went and complained, they said, "Where are you staying?" I said, "I am staying in Mr. Premji's house." They said, "Oh, we know him very well. Tomorrow the bag will come home. Don't worry." So this is all Swami's planning. First we get agitated. "Oh, my bag is lost. I'm on a 90 days trip. What will I do without clothes?" But see how he plans. He plans every step which we cannot see. Then after that, when Daddy went to Vrindavan the next day, he informed Swami. Swami started laughing. He says, "Yes, the only thing she could say was Sairam, Sairam, Sairam." So I had to go to help her. And because she didn't realize I am helping her, I had to tell her about the food. So that is how, it takes us time. But he knows each and every, he knows our pulse. He knows that I had not eaten for so many hours. He's so thoughtful. He's so caring. Once you surrender yourself 100% to him, be sure he will take care of you. It's a faith. I have so much of faith that I say, today I was thinking, no, whatever happens, I am going to talk. I am going to talk. I know the light will come back, and the light came back. Just surrender to him, because he will only take you across. We are human beings, we do have doubts. I don't say that you don't doubt, we doubt, but we have to have more faith, and we have to have positive thinking. One thing which Swami taught me when I was a child, he said, we had to, he said, I said, it is not possible for me to walk, it's impossible. Pakoda word I am is possible. Nothing is impossible. If you remember to give away the word I am, automatically everything is possible and you will be able to walk. And I have kept it as the main principle in my life. I say nothing is impossible. I just think it's possible, it's possible, possible. And my granny had taught me positive thinking, so I am very, very positive. If it was not for the positivity, I don't think I would be able to walk so much, to able to see the world. I'm so fond of traveling because I love to see the nature. I love to see the creation. I'm very fond to see the creation everywhere. In the beginning, when I was young, I used to go to the Himalayas. I went nearly 8 to 9 years to the Himalayas, and I used to really enjoy talking to God there, because that was one thing which gave me happiness. I was very busy working, in dad's company. So we used to get a very short leave. I used to immediately fly and go straight and enjoy myself and be happy and come back. And my father never stopped me, because I said I have to recharge my battery. Then it was decided that instead of going to the Himalayas, Swami started sending me to Switzerland. It is very shocking. I've been to Switzerland 9 times. Swami said, now no more Himalayas, we have Himalayas in Switzerland. So I started going there. And that's how my talks started in Europe. And it was there that after I spoke in the Radio Sai Karnataka and the Radio Sai Prashanti Nilayam, that I was invited to talk. And when I was young, Swami asked me to go for public speech classes. I went, I said, no, Swami, it's not my cup of tea. I can't be looking in the mirror and talking. So please forgive me, I can't do that. So I never took it seriously. I never spoke. Swami used to say, when I'm in, I had the permission to go to Thrace every day. When Swami said that I'll make you talk in Thrace, I said, no, Swami, please, I beg of you, never ask me to talk in Thrace, because I have a problem getting up from the floor and I will not talk. If you ever tell me, I will stop coming for the Thrace program. And Swami from his chair used to look at me naughtily that should I? And then I used to also say no, no, no. And I now today feel bad that Swami had gave me so much of opportunity to speak during his time, but I never spoke. It is only because in 2012, Karnataka Radio site told me that you will not be seen and your talk will be translated into Kannada, that I was to speak in a closed studio. So I took the initiative and I spoke. And from there started the whole thing. Then Prashanti called me. Then it started abroad. And everywhere I get translators who translate and I talk. And I'm now enjoying sharing my happiness with people. I feel happy seeing the smile on the people. I never knew that I could help people, because I know somewhere or the other, by my experience, it will affect you, and you will also try to analyze your problems and come to a solution. Because one thing in life, remember, there's a solution to every problem. Every problem has a solution. So please, it is my fervent prayers to everyone. Let us all pray to Swami that he gives us the strength to always be his instruments and spread his message of love to one and all. And let us all be one happy family. Let us pray for our brothers, pray for the world, pray for the health, pray for the safety of everyone. With this, I think I have to, I have to end, as the question answer session is to begin. Thank you everyone for being a patient listener.
Sarah Aunty, before we get into the questions, am I audible?
Yeah, very audible.
Okay, great. Before we get into the questions, since a lot of people have joined from Mumbai and Mumbai being the host city, maybe you would like to mention that phase when 1967-68 Swami Mother Ishwarama stayed at your home when Swami went to
Okay.
Africa, and after that the birth of Anandpur College happened when you had a word with Ishwarama, and Ishwarama spoke to Swami, and that entire phase which led to that 50th anniversary of Dharmakshetra, 50th anniversary of Anandpur, also and Swami's institution. So that particular,
Okay.
and eventually obviously Vrindavan as well in 69, if I'm right.
Okay, got it. I go back. I would like to tell you all the story about when Swami went to Africa. Ishwarama was staying with us in Mumbai. Ishwarama was reluctant to send Swami. So because Swami had curly hair and Africans have curly hair, she was very worried. Swami said, see, don't worry. I'll leave you in Java's house and he will take care of you, and I will talk with you over the phone and keep in touch with you. So Ishwarama stayed with us in the house. I was young. I was going to school. And I would like to tell you that Ishwarama has been my strength because she loved me so much, so much. It's like, she never found any difference between Swami and me. If Swami shouted at me, she would correct him and say, no, 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 she's not wrong. She's a child. Don't say that to her. She loved me like her own child. And it was in those days when Swami came back from Africa. Ishwarama saw me coming from school. She saw my sisters going to college, and my sisters were studying in a ladies' college in Sapphire College, Mumbai. So she was really thrilled to know that there can be a separate college for girls. So when Swami came, and in the car, she told Swami, she was very happy to meet him. And while they were going back in the car from the airport, she said, Swami, I need one promise from you. So Swami said, tell me, what is it? She said, I saw Java's daughters. He's got 4 daughters. They are coming from school, they're coming from college. All of them are educated, and education makes a big difference. I would like you to open a college for our children of Puttaparthi. So Swami said, okay, done. Immediately he said, Java, I give you this task of finding out a place where we can have a college campus. And he gave the area as Anandpur. So daddy said yes. And it was at that moment in the car when Swami returned from Africa, that this thing was decided, that there would be a college in Anandpur. Daddy saw the land and the college was started. Now it so happened that I wanted to study in Anandpur College, but Swami never allowed me to study. He said, no, Java will miss you. But tell you honestly, I know it was Swami who would miss me, because every 15 days I was in Puttaparthi or Bangalore meeting him. And in Anandpur, Jayama was very, very strict. She never allowed any of her students to come to Swami. So I'm very glad I didn't go there. It's a funny thing that till date I've not seen the college. When daddy was not well, he gave me the papers and said, please hand over this to Swami. And I handed over the papers to Swami. I've only seen the papers of the Anandpur College, but I've never been fortunate enough to go to Anandpur College. When I decided once to go to give a talk, my throat went sore. I could not even utter a word. So I don't know what is Swami's plan. Whenever he wishes that I go to Anandpur, I will surely go to Anandpur. But the thought of the Anandpur College started in when Swami returned from Africa. Now regarding Dharamchetra, when it was being made, I used to go on the weekends with my father to Dharamchetra to see the work growing. As the construction was going on, we used to keep going over there to Dharamchetra. When the Dharam Kshetra was made and it was the inauguration of Dharam Kshetra, we were 9 fairies to welcome Swami and take him around Dharam Kshetra. From down, we brought Swami upstairs. We were 9 girls and I was one of the fairies. We came upstairs and Swami said, "No, why aren't you all coming to my room?" While going up the steps, see, I have a problem climbing stairs. I can walk a lot, but I cannot climb stairs. It's difficult for me to climb stairs. So Swami immediately made me sit on the bed. He gave all of us sweets. He made me sit because he realized I was panting. So it was that just to give me some respite from the walk. He gave us sweets and he said, "Okay, now y'all go. Y'all have made my room sacred." And that's how we went. It was a very, very memorial day that day, entering Dharam Kshetra. And I'm so indebted for that day. And Dharam Kshetra is something which I can never forget. Even when the 50th anniversary was there, I went to Bombay and I attended the function. Because for me, I may have been for 25 years in Bangalore, but I was in Bombay for 39 years and now 1 year in Patti. So for me, it's Bombay is a stronger thing, what you say, uh, place where I have my roots in it, my schooling, my college, and all that. So this is what happened in way back. Then Brindavan, when Brindavan was being made, Swami was that time I was still doing service over there. If you all remember, the Kalyan Mandip had a small garden. So we used to do the gardening work. And Swami said, "Pakoda, you're very good in this. You're very good." And Swami had blessed me to be Annapurna. He says, "You cook very well and you're good in gardening." So he told me, "Okay, you can go. You don't have to do home science." So I said, "Okay, Swami." So he had actually told me to go for arts, but having got a good percentage, I opted for commerce. But Swami said, "It's all right, you did commerce." Now, what happened once college started, I was again lucky because those days Indian Airlines had given a pass for uh, students to go as many times as possible in the flight. So I didn't have to worry about taking leave from college. I had that ticket. I mean, I had that pass where the ticket used to cost only 125 rupees. That is why I spent most of my time in Vrindavan. And it's a funny thing that whenever I went to the office for my attendance for the exams, the peon used to look at my face. He says, "You have a very innocent face. I don't think you would have bunked college." And he used to give me full attendance. So this is how Swami, helps you out. And when this place, the Brindavan was made, there's a huge statue of Mata Saraswati. So what happened when I went to Vrindavan, when the college was constructed and all. So when I went there, Swami said, those days we used to have darshan at the Krishna statue at Vrindavan. So when I went there, Swami said, "See this Saraswati statue." I said, "Yes, Swami is very nice. See, I made it very fat, so I don't have to miss you. It's as fat as you are." So it was such a funny thing. And I said, "Swami," he says, "No, I miss you. So when you are in college, so this statue, they made it so fat, just like you." So this is how Swami, this is the fun he had with me. It's something which is something unexpressible. Like, every small thing, he had something to make me laugh. And he never made me cry as such, I can tell you that, because I had guardian angels, Ishwarama and his sisters always beside me. So the question of Swami making me upset was not there. So that is why he took very, very good care of me. And when once when I decided to write some books which I was comparing the gods with Swami, Swami asked me, "Arey, my pakoda, why have you become a chapati?" I said, "Swami, I am doing a research on the different prayers which are there in the rituals. So I have to do it to understand if the fruits of those prayers will come in." You know what Swami said? Really, I said, "Why are you asking me in the public?" He says, "Oh, oh, oh." And because he used to tease me, he says, "You go to the minutest details." I should really go to the minutest detail because I wanted to know the power of prayers and rituals and all. Swami so always called me very ritualistic. And yes, I was ritualistic. But after Swami, I gave up everything. No more rituals, nothing. It's only me and Swami. It was a stage and age when I had to go through all the rituals to understand and feel God. But today I don't have to, because I know I've already merged with God and He is there with me. He is in me and I am in Him. So I don't have to worry about doing all the rituals and all that, because it was nearly, I think, many warnings Swami gave me not to do the fasting and all, because I always had a problem. So he said, your nose is bleeding, stop it, what's the use and all. So I stopped everything. Today it's only prayers mentally for everyone. People who have problems, yes, I do pray for everyone. I pray for each of you. The samadhi is there. The duty, the work which I have in Prashanti Nilayam is only to pray, because there's nothing else I can do. The only thing I can do is prayers, and I am ready to help everyone. Anyone having any problem, anytime, you are free to contact me, tell me, and surely I will pray for you all, because I feel the Swami is there. Of course, you too put in your prayers, and I will also help everyone, because Swami says, help ever, hurt never. I cannot do any other work sitting in Prashanti Nilayam. So maybe the small work I can do, like today's work, it's helped me like anything to be of some service to you during this time of lockdown. With being in this condition, I'm not able to do any other seva. At least this seva, I'm happy I was able to do today in this time.
Auntie, not many people could ever say they have spoken to Swami on phone.
Okay. Uh, I was prompted now. There was a time when Swami was in Africa and he used to call Ishwarama. The phone would be given to Ishwarama only after he spoke to me, because that was a thing which Swami and I had planned. I told Swami, if you need to talk to Amma, first you have to talk to me. So Swami used to first talk to me and tell me about what happened, and then I used to hand over the phone to Amma. And even when Swami was in Prashanti Nilayam, I was very, very close to Kasturi, uncle. I was very close to him. And I was very grateful because I did have Swami's Prashanti Nilayam telephone number in those days, which was a rare thing. Another thing which I want to tell you, there was a very, very good bond with our family members. My mother used to tie Raksha Bandhan to Swami. It so happened that in the beginning, Swami used to handwritten put signature and send, then the rubber stamp. Then after that, it all stopped, but still he used to acknowledge the Rakhi. Now my mother was very serious, and it was time, and Swami had left in 2011, and my mother, it was 2012 July. It was Rakhi time. So I asked my mother, Mom, what should I do about Rakhi? Should I get the Rakhi? What should I do? Should I put it for Swami's photo? What do I do? She says, just keep quiet. And you know the irony of the whole thing? She breathed her last on Raksha Bandhan Day. She went personally to tie the Rakhi to Swami. This is how the family is, so close to Swami. And I'm really happy that everyone in the family is so much close to Swami. Everyone in the family has their story to tell about Swami. My nephews, they were all students of Swami's school. My niece was students of Swami's school. The whole family was involved in Swami. And this is how the whole family was very, very close to Swami. I think none of y'all would have spent Holi with Swami. It so happened, it was when Swami had come to Indubai's house in Gayatri, in Khar, and Holi was approaching. So my grandmother and mother told Swami that Holi is a big festival in our community. And she said, Swami, we will not put color. We will put rose petals at your feet. But I have this silver pichkari I've made for you, especially to play to play Holi, and I have put perfume in it. So can you ever think and believe that we have played Holi with Swami. I don't know how many of you would have had this opportunity, but yes, we did have this opportunity to play Holi with Swami. Swami gave us really, really a lot, and he blessed me. Actually, I was supposed to have left when I was 50 years old, but Swami said, he told, I lost my wealth when I was 50. Swami said, you go to a person at Chamrajpet, to a Nadi fellow and meet him. I said, I don't believe in all this and I don't have that type of money. He said, no, you go. I went. And what do you think the Nadi man told me? He says, you lost your wealth because Yama came to take you, but your Guru, Satya Sai Baba, asked him to take your wealth and leave him for you. And believe it or not, it's the last 15 years that I have diverted from the monetary world to the spiritual world. So this is how Swami made me feel better, that it was because he wanted me to live. And since he promised me that this is my last birth and I have moksha, which he gave me when I was 17 years old, when I did not understand what is moksha, but he took my hand and said, I give you moksha, I will see you through all the ups and downs of life, because I have to clear all your back karmas. So then that time I said, okay, Swami, whatever you decide. It was with this belief that I am going to, this is my last birth. I decided I have to change myself and change for the good. And Swami has been very, very kind. When Swami used to come to Mumbai, he used to fly back in a charter flight, which they used to always get organized. I was always fighting with Swami. Swami, Daddy has taken everyone in the charter flight, but he has never taken me. Why? Why am I not allowed to fly in the plane with you? He says, no, you don't worry. I will come in my plane to take you when your soul departs from this world. And what more? Because I used to see a lot of mythological movie. So first question I put to Swami, I said, Swami, you will come in that Hanswan and take me? He says, yes, I will take you that way. So, it's because it was very innocent at that age. And Swami said, yes, that is the time I will take you in the plane along with me. And after that day, I never questioned that why I did not travel in the plane with Swami. Though it was Daddy who always arranged the put up a Bombay-Bangalore trip. This is what he gives you satisfaction. He tells you he has a reason for every action. He really has a reason. And we as human beings are not able to see the reason. And we straight away jump to conclusions. I know, because I was like that. I don't say. I have experienced the high peak in my life. I've experienced the low peak, the low in my life, and I've now experiencing the peace in my life. I am so peaceful. I'm really very happy that Swami was able to give me this change, and all this change has been thanks to Swami and his helping hand, that I am really, really, really grateful. Now done, Siddharth?
I am quiet because somehow the messages are coming and we don't feel we are done. But because we have to respect the time, uh,
Yeah.
there's one question which I'll quote, which I think 2 or 3 people have asked, is can you explain how Swami taught you to meditate?
It is the Jyoti, with the concentrating on the Jyoti. The meditation Swami taught me was the concentration of the Jyoti and getting the Jyot right through your body, which is there everywhere in the books. He made me follow that path. And that's how I had a deep concentration, and I really, really concentrate. I have a very good concentration power thanks to this Swami's training me. And once you say, you do Namasparan and you do meditation, both will merge together, and then you will have in your background the Om Sai Ram going on, and you will see the light in your body, and then you will be able to have, what's happened like now, because of whatever problems we are having, we have put all dust over our hearts. Swami is calling us, we are not able to hear him. Swami told us so many times, I'm looking for a true devotee, I'm looking for a true devotee, but I can't find any true devotee. Imagine lakhs and lakhs of devotees coming, but Swami was searching for a true devotee. Today, we are so fortunate, so fortunate. First, we were not able to have Swami. Today, Swami is there, he's calling us, he's taking us, he's telling us, he's leading us everywhere. So if you have the practice of Namasparan along with meditation, meditate on the lamp. And then after that, you will be emerged and you'll hear the voice of God. Clear the Maya which is surrounding your heart and install Swami in your heart. As soon as you install Swami in your heart, you will hear him. You will always hear his voice. You'll hear it loud and clear. He will guide you. He will tell you what to do. I find that because every moment I feel he is there with me.
There's one more.
Have I cleared?
Yeah.
Tell me.
There's one more thing. I think when you were very small, a tiny tot, Swami used to make you sit next to him for every interview. You and brother. And eventually a time came when you said, Swami, I'm bored of this interview. I want an interview.
Okay.
You can recollect, and in that case, maybe you can let us know how to get this interview. Because in today's world, I think that is the most critical, and lockdown period is a very good opportunity to practice this interview.
Okay. It was when we were young, my brother and I had the work of doing Padaseva for Swami. We were supposed to press Swami's feet in the interview room. All the interviews, we were always seated there pressing Swami's feet. It so happened, we grew up, I grew, and as I grew up, it was very embarrassing for me. When I came out, people asked me, what did Swami say? What did Swami say? No, it was not an interview for me. We were just doing Padaseva. So I used to feel a bit awkward. So I had grown up by then, because this started at a very, very young age. So when I grew up, I said, Swami, I think now I would prefer not to have interviews, because people are asking questions and all that. And this is a private talk of the devotees to you. And though we are sitting there, we do not listen, because we are concentrating on your feet and massaging your feet. How can we tell about what you are talking to the devotee? So I would not like any more interviews, but I would like the interview. And that's how Swami said, okay, from now onwards, you start developing the interview. The interview was that I started looking inside. I started finding for answers inside. And once you start searching, you are sure to find the answers from inside. It so happened that in the beginning, I took it very lightly, though I said, Swami, I want the interview. But at that age, how we are all young people. So I thought that, okay, it's all right. Swami is answering everything to daddy, so it's all right. So then I told, when my dad was no more, then it became a difficult part. I couldn't ask my questions and get my answers. And then there was no other way, but I had to develop my interview. So at that time, I started on looking inside and developing seeing Swami more inside, talking to him inside. I spend my morning hours between 4 to 6 talking to him, because there is so many things to tell and all, because right from childhood, I've been always telling him everything. So there's a lot of things to tell him and to get back and all that. And that's how I spend my time, because to be honest, I'm in Prashanti Nilayam alone, but I'm not that alone, because many people know me, and you'll be surprised during this lockdown, people have asked me if I need any help or anything. I said, no, with Swami's grace, I have help. It's a very funny thing. I never keep much groceries in my house. But before I came from Bangalore, Swami prompted me to buy groceries. I brought so many groceries for nearly 4 to 5 months. that is so shocking when people come and tell me, Auntie, can we go and get you groceries? I say, no, 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 I have all the groceries, don't worry. And vegetables, I'm getting it from the stores and all that. There's nothing to worry. So, how Swami, and I ask Swami every question. I used to keep questioning, Swami, why so much of grocery? Why so much of grocery? My sister used to say, Rani, what are you going to do with all these grocery? I said, I don't know, I'm just buying. I never realized that today I would need it. See how his plan works even on this day. He is a real planner. He's a master. We are all puppets in his hand. We are absolute puppets in his hand. He pulls the string this side, he pulls the string that side. Sometimes we are on this side of the fence, sometimes we are on the other side of the fence. But whatever be the situation, my prayer to everyone is, please take it in your stride. Don't get agitated. Don't get agitated, because you recall, it is his plan. It is his plan. He is doing it. He has his reasons, because God does not do anything without reason. So it is his plan. Take it as that and sail through this lockdown period with all purity in your heart, with peace in your heart, with prayers for everyone, and do global prayers for everyone's health and safety.
There's one
Yes,
last
Siddharth.
question. Yeah, one last question before we end today. One question is, can you please tell us any experience where your faith was tested and how you responded to that situation?
That is what I told her when I lost all my wealth. So I was a bit disturbed, and Swami sent me the message to go to the Nadi person and get my answer. I was disturbed because it was not my idea to do medical transcription for the USA. It was not my idea at all. It was in 99, if I'm not mistaken. 98 November, I still recall the day. It was Women's Day. And Swami told me, Pakoda, go to Bangalore and start medical transcription. I said, Swami, I don't like medicine. How will I do something with medicine? He said, no, you're not to take any medicine or injection. It is just you're going to do the transcription. I said, Swami, I don't have money. He says, you always have doubts in your mind. When I say do it, means you do it. So then I decided, okay, on 9th, he shouted at me in front of all the people on Ladies' Day. After that, I never attended Ladies' Day because I was so scared that I may get another shouting in public. So then I went to Bangalore and I told my father that Swami wants me to start medical transcription. I am a commerce person. I am a finance person. I'm a management person. Where is medical transcription? So Daddy said, no, Rani, if Swami has said, you do it. In the meanwhile, he received a call from his CA. And his CA told Java, Karnataka State Finance Corporation is offering loans to ladies. And why don't you send your daughter? So Daddy said, there, Swami's answer. Why don't you go and attend the meeting? So I told him, okay, I'll go. You will be shocked. I did not anything. There were 32 people interviewing me, front, side, back, here. I just went on talking, answering all their questions. I never realized anything. Suddenly, I received a chit in my hand saying 65. So I was wondering, what is a 65? I took the chit and the next person was asked to come in. You won't believe, everyone when I came out was saying, congratulations, ma'am, congratulations, ma'am, congratulations. I said, well, what are you congratulating me? They said, this 65 means you have been given a loan of 65 lakhs. I said, what? I've received 65 lakhs. He says, yes, your loan has been sanctioned. I was really, really stunned about it. I came home, I told my father. My father was so happy. He says, here I am fighting with Karnataka State Finance, and they gave me only 15 lakhs. I gave you 65 lakhs for starting a company. I said, Daddy, I don't know. This happened, 19th was the day when Swami sent me to Bangalore. 22nd evening, I'm back to Parthi telling Swami that, yes, I have been sanctioned a loan of 65 lakhs. I had only 1,500 savings in my bank. Of course, the other savings were there, but cash balance was only 1,500. So I said, Swami says, see, I told you. And then I said, but Swami, I don't know anything. He says, don't worry, I'm there with you. You start. I started, everything was going fine. Then everything went flop. And I was very, very disturbed because, to tell you very frankly, my father always said, Rani, don't come close to me. You have the Midas touch, because whatever I touched turned into gold. And then suddenly to lose everything, you can imagine what a batter it was in my life at that moment. I just couldn't understand. You will be shocked. I used to come by bus to Puttaparthi and all that. Once some foreigner went and told Swami, Swami Java's daughter is coming by bus. Swami said, did she complain? They said, no, Swami, she did not complain. But we feel bad seeing her in this condition. Swami said, no, don't worry about her. She's a child. She's still in my arms. She has not yet come to my lap. I'm still carrying her. If she complains to you, you tell me. You all don't worry about her. That is what Swami's love. And then he told me later in Vrindavan to go to this Nadi person. And then I came to know the truth. And then I got peace, and I did not ever think that why did this happen. And as promised, today I have everything. I have nothing to complain. I am living a good life. I have a house, everything. What I lost, slowly by slowly, I have been able to get it back in my life by my hard work. And I am happy about it, because it was Swami's will, because he said that I had promised you to have moksha. But I also promised you that you will see me as Prema Sai and you will recognize me. So you have to have another life, because you cannot have another life. So I had to take away your wealth when Yama came to take you, and you got a new lease of life where you're going to spend a spiritual life spreading my message, and you will see me in Prema Sai. And that's how I am still waiting for Prema Sai to see Swami there. I was with him in Shirdi Sai, which was very, very clear. The first time he met Swami, he told that it was Rani was with me in Shirdi Sai avatar. This polio paralysis was just an excuse to get her back to me. And he said she was with me in Shirdi Sai. She's there with me in Parthi Sai. Now she will be there with me in Prema Sai. Of course, I'll be a much, much older lady by then. But I am very sure and positive that I will see Prema Sai. So ups and downs comes in life. We are on a roller coaster. Sometimes we are up, sometimes we are down. Losing money is not lost everything. I thought in the beginning, but no, then I realized God has plans. So I hope I've answered the question.
No, yes, very much, because this again reminds us of Swami's message that if money is lost, nothing is lost.
Exactly.
If health is lost, something is lost. And if character is lost, everything is lost.
Yes, I agree with you.
So, now, since we are done on time, otherwise we would have gone ahead for another few more minutes. But since time is up, and let me conclude. Important thing is, I think, on behalf of all of us, what we saw today was a very different facet of Swami again. It's a Swami not in that Bhagwan or Lord kind of personality, but somebody who is extremely close to us as a family member, as a friend, and that's why this topic was mentioned as Swami as a best friend and even guardian at times. When things are difficult for us to understand, or he steps in immediately and takes care. And there are people actually today on the call from across the globe, in fact, beating the time gaps right from US to France to Germany to Indonesia. I think all continents covered today. So it's truly a global talk. And just to, if I can conclude this entire talk into one line, it can be, if you leave everything in Swami's hands, then you can see Swami's hand in everything in your life. I think it was very
Exactly.
like a Swami story. I think you were just a mascot standing there, and Swami got everything done through you. So this is what I think, on behalf of all of us, we understand and we learn today. And let us surrender to Swami and let him take charge and run the life through us. So thank you very much. Yeah, Auntie, you wanted
Before you end, Siddharth, I need to thank all of the whole team again. Jay Shankar, Sai Mohan, Jaydeep More, Akshay Kamath, Siddhant, but especially because of the talk in 2015 in Bombay, the YouTube put up, which made me famous as a speaker all around the world and in India, is only thanks to you, Siddharth. I still recall the day when you walked into my room in Prashanti Nilayam and asked me and said, Auntie, can you speak? I told you, Siddharth, I'm not a speaker. I cannot speak. You said, don't worry, Auntie. And I never ever thought that you're going to make a YouTube of the talk which I had in Dharamkshetra, which made me known globally. So I need to thank you, Siddharth. I know you require my profound thankness, because thanks to you that today I have become a part-time speaker.
No, I think knowing your story now, all of us know that we were just implicitly following Swami's instructions. It was he who came and who actually inspired you. He spoke through you and he got it done. It is his story,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
we are nowhere to be in this. So whatever you're saying, we are passing on to Swami. It belongs to him, and he is the doer. He is the inspirer. We are nobody in between. But thanks to you for spending your time and sharing your experiences. And verily, it was a great opportunity to listen to you. And one more thing, I think, before we conclude, this evening itself, just half an hour, 45 minutes before the talk began, Auntie's brother actually went to Dharmakshetra to pray for this talk, and Swami's garland actually fell, and that came as a blessing. I know, Auntie, you don't, but this is something that everybody should know, that Swami's presence is very much there right from the beginning. Even before the talk began. And Swami's presence is not just confined to 5 feet 3 inch physical body, but he's very much there listening to us and enjoying this talk to us as well. And that is what we learned today. And heartfelt gratitude to you. And maybe we can end the session with Samasta Loka, and let us pray together for the welfare of entire creation, mankind, and all the doctors, nurses, paramedics, police, and all the people who are fighting across the world on our behalf to win over this battle.
Samasta loka sukhino bhavantu. Samasta loka sukhino bhavantu. Samasta loka sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय। जय साईं राम।